Buckeye fans, welcome in to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast. It's week number 6 as the Ohio State Buckeyes are getting set to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers back at home inside the Horseshoe. We get a night game this weekend, a 7:30 p.m. kick against Minnesota on Saturday night. Couldn't be more excited about it and couldn't be more excited to be with you here again. Anthony Moeglin joined alongside with my partner, Kevin Woidke. Kevin, fresh off a beach trip. Well, I guess maybe not so much a beach trip, but fresh off a trip down south. How did it go? We refreshed. We ready to get after another week of college football here.
Yeah, no, it was a good week. A lot of fun. Good weekend. Lumineers did a great job at the concert, and it was some good weekend. I got to watch a good amount of basketball.
Basketball.
The kind of week I've had so far since getting back, but good amount of football down there in Charleston. We were bar hopping a little bit and catching as many games as I could. It was fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome stuff. And it was a good weekend of college football, and that's where we're gonna get our show kicked off here tonight because this weekend. Sometimes you get those weekends in actually just sports weekend in general. I caught myself on Saturday like. I had a couple TVs going. I had the Ryder Cup on. I had a couple games going on. The sun was out. I had just walked my brother's dog on the golf course, and I was like, oh, my gosh. It, can't get better than it is right now. The Guardians were charging. I got my Guards gear on. They obviously dropped one today. But, it was like baseball. Important baseball was happening. College football was happening. Ryder Cup was happening. And most of it didn't go my way, I would say, our way. But still a ton of fun. But in terms of college football, Kev, this weekend was bonkers, off the charts. It obviously had our game in there. And we'll get to we'll do a quick recap of our game. But the headliner, Penn State can't win the big one, man. And it is a real thing now. They just cannot get it done. Oregon goes across the country into the whiteout and takes down the Nittany Lions, dude. That game was fun. It was exciting at the end. And Oregon goes back home with a huge, huge win.
Absolutely. No, it was a cranzy end of that game. Penn State came all the way back. Thought maybe they were going to pull it out. Yeah. And they obviously didn't. Dan Lanning knows how to win close games against Big Ten opponents. That's just how it goes. If it's a blowout, he doesn't have a chance. But if it's a close game, he inches it out. Happened against us in the regular season, happened against Penn State in the Big Ten championship, and then happened again this year to Penn State. So hopefully we don't repeat ourselves and it happens to us in the Big Ten championship. But it looks like they're just going to kind of walk all the way there at this point.
Yeah, it feels like
challenge left.
Yeah, it feels like we're kind of on a crash course to see Oregon because, I think it's head and shoulders, a couple of weeks into the Big Ten. I think it's head and shoulders above that next tier, which in that next tier is Indiana. And there's a couple games. On Friday, I called out 4 games that Buckeye fans should have had their eyes on. In that first slot of games was the Illinois and USC. I don't know if you caught any of that game, but that was a very interesting one because USC, it was funny enough, had the very last time slot that you could play in week 4, and then they had the very first time slot you could play in week 5, and they came out sluggish. That's a hard thing to do, to go from California or West Coast time all the way to East Coast and play at 11 a.m., play at 9 a.m., their time. But after they kind of got rolling a little bit, they were in it, and then Illinois coming off of a massive, just a total ass kicking that they received at the hands of Indiana. They responded in a big way. I thought that was a very impressive win by the Illini.
Yeah. It obviously last second kicks in Champaign, Illinois are some of the craziest things happen there. But that's why I'm hoping we don't even have a close game when we play next week, not to look ahead. But it was I think you hit it right on the head. They came out sluggish, was able to catch that while watching the Ryder Cup, so I wasn't super invested in it. But, it doesn't matter how much you win by as long as you find ways to win. And that's what Illinois did. And bouncing back against an undefeated team, I think USC was undefeated before that game. So it was a tough game, and they there was a slugfest, and they inched it out at the end.
It's an impressive win for the Illini, and in my opinion, like you get thumped like they did against Indiana, and that's hard to come back from. Like that's a tough week of practice. Like I can assure you, inside that building, it wasn't a fun place to be. You're a coach or you're a player. Those are oftentimes pretty uncomfortable. But kind of other places around the league, the SEC was like off the charts this weekend. Tennessee and Mississippi State go to overtime. Mississippi State, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're a national championship contender, but they were 4-0 going into this game, and it was a big opportunity for them to try to take down Tennessee. They had their chance, just kind of ran out of gas there at the end. Alabama and Georgia was like all time. That game was pretty crazy, and Alabama feels like they have a heartbeat again. Like it kind of feels like the Undertaker, where they've like risen out of the casket, if you will. And Ole Miss takes down LSU. Like there was big games all throughout the SEC, man, and like every single one of them kind of delivered and showed that, like, oh yeah, as we're getting into the season, these teams are getting a little bit better where they need to be, and it kind of showed in a fun weekend of cool matchups.
Yeah, I mean the SEC kind of cannibalized themselves a little bit. The teams that were higher rated, some of them won, some of them lost. Like Alabama loses that game, they're probably not ranked anymore.
Yeah,
they're still hanging around, but like then Mississippi State, like it's tough because they're probably not going to inch their way back into the top 12 before the SEC championship game. That's just the reality of it. There's just better teams out there, and it'll be interesting to see. I personally would love. Game that wasn't mentioned was Georgia Tech. I would love to see them in the CFP. That's a fun team to watch play football. And I mean, they inched it out against, was it Wake Forest?
Wake Forest, yes.
And it was a close game, overtime game, but that was a great game.
Dude, it was awesome, man. And like they got down big, and then Haynes King, Georgia Tech gives me like very high school vibes. Like they feel like a high school team because like Haynes King has got like the biggest heart you'll ever see in a quarterback. Like he just loves being a Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jacket. And they don't give up, man. They just keep on fighting. Their coach is great. And it proved out there in overtime. And they're going to keep climbing. They're going to keep climbing. They got the inside track to take on Miami to really go after that ACC championship, which as we're getting into that second half of the season, man, it's like, all right, these storylines are starting to take shape. These conferences are starting to take shape, and like all of the postseason starting to kind of materialize. And for us, man, like that game on Saturday, we haven't got to talk about it yet, was a really just professional effort. It just will come in and do what you got to do, play great defense, score a couple points, and get the heck out of here. I thought it was an awesome day, in my opinion, for the Buckeyes, and from everything, right? The fans took over the stadium. The pictures and the videos coming out of Husky Stadium, it's like all scarlet. The players, the defense dominated. The offense did what it was supposed to do. I thought, all in all, start to finish, every aspect of that game on Saturday, Ohio State won it, man, and it was cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. It was all the West Coast Buckeye fans showed out. A lot of, people I knew went to the game. I think I knew like 3 or 4 people at that game. So it was crazy to watch. I take a different tone.
Okay.
I think coming off of a bye week, we should have looked a little bit crisper. I hate that, the fumble, obviously not ideal, but that's just, it's going to happen, but that against a team like this, you can't give them that. And then the short yardage, like it was a problem against OU. It was a problem against Washington. They have to address it going forward. Like this week against, Minnesota, it's going to be a challenge on offense. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with the ball down low, either in the low red zone or on short yardage, and what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. And one thing, and I want to stay away from the run game for a little bit because we're going to come to that here in a moment. But just from your perspective, Kev, when I was watching it, it felt like to me, and this isn't, I'm not unique in this idea, but it felt like to me like they were really just trying to protect Julian Sayin. And it's like, okay, I get it. He's still a young starter. He's only started 4 games now, and this was his biggest test, especially away from home. And they wanted to kind of protect him so he didn't lose the game. I'm to the point now of like, all right, he's proven enough. like, hey, we can take the training wheels off of him, like take the binky out of his mouth, take the diaper off, like all of the things. Like, you can go and trust this kid because he's giving you no reason not to. And like the fact, and what I just like was burned in my head is that Jeremiah Smith only had 3 targets in the first half. Yes, 1 went for the touchdown, but like that is that's just unacceptable. Like, I don't care how I don't care about the personality of the game. The fact that the best player in the country only got the chance to have the ball 3 times just can't happen. And there were some things in there, man, that just like, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way. Obviously, the result is great, but the process, maybe, I think we got to start like, all right, let's get back to what Buckeyes football is supposed to be.
I mean, they're putting the onus on the play. A lot of the fans are putting the onus on the play calling. Maybe he's not making the right reads. Like, only 3 targets. There's no way they only had 3 plays that he was. If they only had 3 plays where he was the initial read, he was the first read.
Somebody's got to get
makes sense. But like at that point, you got to go through your progression. Like, yes, just because that check down is there doesn't mean you have to take it. Like, like take a look somewhere else first. Like if you're like, oh, here comes a blitz, I got to throw it to my check down quickly. I get it, but like if you see a blitz before the snap and then you have to watch and read that blitz as you're taking your step back, and then you read the defense, and if that safety drops or something, like he might be your second or third read, but you can't go 1 to check down like that. That can't be. That's not a formidable offense. And I don't know if that's what he's doing, but like saying got to take the training wheels off. Like I saw a lot of fans saying that. It's like, are we sure they're even still on, or is he just quick in the pocket?
Yeah. It's a really good point, and you know they did spread it around. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys had catches, and to your point, 4 of those or 3 of those were running backs, right? And there's a couple obviously called plays. James Peoples kind of got going a little bit in the past game, but Carnell Tate was the big one for me. He finished the game with just 3 catches on the day, and it's like, all right, you got Jeremiah. And Jeremiah needs his targets, right? You have to, like, in my opinion, you know, I was saying it on Friday or Saturday after the game, like, if it's, you know, if I'm an offensive coordinator and I'm a play caller going into a game, I'm like, all right, Jeremiah is getting at the very least 3 targets a quarter. Okay. And like that, maybe it's 3 play calls a quarter, like to your point, hey, have a play up for him. You know, and, you know, sometimes he's the primary, sometimes he's second or third in the progression, whatever it may be. But also, like, what I want to see is this team take shots down the field. Like, you get these offenses, you know, put into a box, and you know, if you're not stretching the ball vertically down the field, they showed it against OU, and I thought, okay, maybe they're taking that step. Kind of felt like they came back a little bit off of that, and that's to me that next step in this progression for not only Julian, but whoever it is, Julian, play caller, whatever. Like, hey, we can stretch it down the field. One reason is because we have great receivers. And Kevin, the other reason is this offensive line is starting to really mesh and do a really nice job of coming together and really doing a good job of protecting the quarterback.
Yeah, they have been. And you heard it all preseason from the coaches and everybody that this was the most deep offensive line they've had. There's a couple of holding calls that I borderline, but you call holding on every play if you really wanted to. It was impressive to watch them gel. I didn't get to do the film review this week, but watching them like live, it seemed like these guys are, you know, have a lot of depth, but also a lot of connectivity between the starters and even people that need to fill in when they do. Everyone seems confident in everybody's ability. The competitive excellence, as Coach Meyer used to say, is there. Dude. So it'll be interesting.
It's impressive
how deep it will be if the injury bug, hopefully it never does, but like watching people fill in wherever they need to be will be an interesting and fun thing to watch this year, because it seems like a lot of people can play a lot of positions, and there's a lot of depth even if they only play the position they're supposed to play.
You're dead right. And the guy that's been, you know, circled early on as kind of the leader of this offensive line, and he's becoming a leader of the team, is Austin Saravold. And he was great again, hasn't given up a pressure all year long from his left tackle position. And this is a guy who like was unknown this time last year. Nobody knew his name. Now he's a team captain. Now he's your left tackle, and he's doing all the right things. Ryan Day today said, you know, Phillip Daniels gives them that edge. he's got that nasty to him. He's excited about playing his former team, which will be really, really cool. But like up front, man, the big thing that stood out to me, and it was on the first play of the game, or first or second, definitely the first drive of the game, because I rewound it to watch it. And like Luke Montgomery is nasty, dude.
Oh, he's a stud.
Dude.
He's been a stud since I argue middle of last year. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if he played a little bit his true freshman year or not, because last year wasn't his freshman year, I don't believe. Right. I mean, I saw this kid in high school. I'm like, okay, he's gonna be a baller, and he's one of those homegrown Ohio kids. We have a few of those on the offensive line, but like he's one of these out from like Findlay, Ohio, somewhere no one like just eating corn and bread and burgers and then just
and lifting and baling hay and
right. And like he got used to bullying undersized people in his conference, and now he's got the confidence to do that on a national level on the premier college football team in the country. And it's fun to see that confidence still there, and it's fun to watch him do what I saw him do in high school and what I saw him do in the Tennessee game last year, and just kept inching its way forward. He loves the camera. He loves to celebrate. He's like Bryson DeChambeau out there, but he's a lot of fun. He's a nice guy, and it'll be a blast watching him for the rest of the year.
It's going to be cool, man. The play that really stood out to me was like it was a run play, and his guy. It was one of those, dude, where you know it, like you lock onto somebody, and when you know you got him, you just take him for a ride. And he took Buddy for a ride, and then just like planted him into the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, he's out for blood. And like those are the leaders of your team and your offense. And sometimes I'm not going to say sometimes they've lacked that nastiness to him, but it's always good to see it. And because that's part of it. You want to be schematically right, but then when you get to the point of attack, you want to come with bad intentions, and these guys do that, and it's really really fun to watch up front for them. And it's paid dividends in the pass game, and Kev, it's paid dividends in the run game. It was finally the Bo Jackson show on Saturday. He didn't get the first team reps like right away. They came out of the gates with CJ Donaldson, and I talked about that afterwards. I think we're past that now. I think it's time to like, hey, when we break that huddle or we come off the sidelines after the opening kickoff, 25's in there. But when he got his chances, he did the most with it. 17 carries, 80 yards, didn't find the end zone, but also had one catch for 5 yards through the air. But he looks the part. He's tough. He's physical. He's got incredible balance. He's fast. He's quick. He's everything you could want in a running back, man. And it's good that he's wearing the scarlet and gray. Yeah,
he's a beast. He's a baller. He's come on a little bit quicker than I thought he would, and it's been fun to watch. I think having that depth, having him be that number one guy like Quinshawn was last year, because let's be honest, it was the Quinshawn show, and it was probably justified. He was dominant at Ole Miss, and then he came up to us, and now he's dominating the NFL. It was probably the right move to have him be our every down back, but that's what it seems like they're doing with Bo Jackson. And it seems like it was funny down in Charleston to be like, is this name Bo Jackson? I'm like, yep. Like, any relation? Like, nope, just a Cleveland kid who goes by Bo, and he probably got the nickname in second grade because his last name was Jackson. He was running around the football field like Bo Jackson did.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good because I think his real name's Lamar, but he's gone by Bo because probably of that reason, right? Where it's like he's just was running around the field, being the best player on the field, just like Bo Jackson. Something tells me he wasn't just the best at football. He probably was a good baseball player, basketball, all the things that you could want. But it's good to see him kind of taking control of that running back position because you watch weeks 1 and week 2, and that was definitely a spot that this was a huge question mark for Ohio State. Like they're built off of Ryan Day offenses, Brian Hartline, Chip Kelly, all these guys. They build their offenses off the run game, and it's been that way at Ohio State for years. And you definitely saw that as a spot where they needed to continue to improve. And it feels like Bo Jackson has the answer to that they were really looking for, man. And they're going to need it because going forward here, it's going to start getting tougher and tougher each and every week. First up, it's the Minnesota Golden Gophers, but this stretch, Kev, for us is a good one because you go Minnesota at home, and you go out to Illinois in a couple weeks, and then in 3 weeks' time, you're out in Wisconsin. Who we're not even going to get to them. That's a song for another time. don't know if Luke Fickell's the coach by the time we're out there, because that program's in a bad spot. But a fun stretch coming our way. Starts with Minnesota. And Kevin, we're looking at this team. Feels like these stats are a little weighted because of one game, but it's going to be a formidable defense, and it's one of the top 10 defenses in the country. Yes, I didn't stutter there. There's a top 10 defense in the country, and they got some guys on it.
Yeah, I mean, they're number 9 in the country in total yards per game at 230, and then they're 5 in rushing yards. They've only given up 65.5 rushing yards per game and 164.5 passing yards per game. The number 5 in the country rushing, number 23 passing. And one of those reasons is led by an Ohio kid. Devin Williams is one of 4 Ohio kids on the roster. He's a senior. He's leading the team with 31 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a PBU. Just in front of him on that defensive line, you got Anthony Smith, who's got 4.5 sacks and 11 tackles to his name. He's the real guy that you got to watch out for in the passing game because he's getting to the quarterback successfully and pretty well. I think that's more than anyone on our team has. Maybe Caden Curry has 4.5, but I'm not sure. And then the guy in the secondary, John Nestor.
Try it.
2 INTs, one of them for a touchdown, 3 PBUs, and only 9 tackles. That makes me think that they're not throwing the ball at him, and they don't want to. So
yeah,
I think he's the guy to watch. That will be the cornerback that'll be guarding our better receivers. I'm not sure if he's in the slot or not, but I know I think he's a DB. I don't think he's a safety. But those are the 3 guys on this defense that I've kind of highlighted. I know you have that 2-way guy you want to talk about, but those are kind of the
Corey Perch is his name. Yeah. He's you'll know what you'll know him right off the jump. He wears number 3 and he's like all decked out and stuff. He's gonna have like sleeves and like wristbands. He's that type of guy. He's the East Bay guy. And maybe that's going too far back because we're East Bay kids, but him probably not so much. But he's gonna look the part. He was supposed to be a 2-way stud, kind of coming into the year, and they were expecting him to be like the Travis Hunter of the Big Ten, and it just really hasn't panned out on the offensive side of the ball. So he's been really focused on the defensive side of the ball, and he's just become he's solid. He's a solid player. He plays on the back end, more so safety than anything else. But the guy up front, Anthony Smith, you talked about him. He's a physical specimen too, 6'6", 285 pounds, and just is going to be like that size. Is definitely going to be something that the Buckeyes up front are going to have to just make sure they know where he's at. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a game wrecker by any means, but he's the guy that you have circled, right? Whenever you break the huddle, he's the point man to make sure you know exactly where Smith is at when he's rushing the quarterback, because he's proven the ability to get home. Now, for Minnesota, just overall, they're coming to this game 3-1, and their loss, their lone loss, is the Cal Bears. Now, Cal is an interesting team. We won't get to talk about much. They're obviously not a Big Ten group, but they have a good quarterback and they're a tough team. Now, like last week against Rutgers, Minnesota won 31-28. And the stats we were talking about earlier, I kind of hinted at it being heavily weighted. It's heavily weighted by their Week 2 win against Northwestern State, where they gave up a total of 41 yards just in the entire game. And it was an absolute boat race. I don't know if you remember this one, but I believe it was maybe 58 or 56 nothing at halftime. In the live, I remember seeing the live line in the game was like minus 82.5, which was very funny. But 19 yards through the air, 23 yards on the ground. So those numbers, while they're very good, are heavily weighted by that one outlier there. So just something to keep in mind, because while the Minnesota comes in playing good ball, I think there's going to be some opportunity for Ohio State to get after them a little bit on Saturday night. So, Kev, that takes us to the end of our show here tonight. When you're looking at Saturday from an offensive perspective, we talked early on about maybe some thoughts you had from maybe the more negative side of things. So, as Ohio State comes into this Week 6 game, what are some keys that you're going to have your eye on come Saturday night?
Sorry, one of the websites I had open was ripping a video without me noticing. So I apologize for that noise. But
couldn't hear it. So you're all right.
Perfect, lovely. There's me breaking the fourth wall. keys to the game for the Buckeyes on offense for me is, keep progressing. Obviously, we're gonna throw the ball. Use this. My biggest key is use the stadium. It's a night game against a Big Ten opponent. Use the stadium. Like throw some deep passes. You're at home. He's played home games before. Don't be afraid of your heart line to be like, oh, I don't know if I should throw a deep pass because I don't want them to think I'm only passing the ball. And I think he might be overthinking it a little bit. Take a deep breath. I've never done offensive coordinator. I don't know if he is. I'm speaking. I'm speaking out of my pocket here, but I would say my two biggest keys are find the deep ball and play into the stadium. Whether that be going for it on fourth, whether that be getting that short yardage dealt with, because now is the time to hone it in. Because after, Illinois, who knows? They're a crapshoot. I don't even know if they're gonna. Who knows? That's a noon game. I think that'll be big noon kickoff. I'm assuming.
Probably.
And then, we got who's the last one? Wisconsin, which that'll probably be a night game in Wisconsin because that's what they love to do to us. But after that, you got a stretch of teams that you need to be able to score in the red zone, and you need to be good at short yardage when you need it. So now is the perfect time to start to do that.
Oh, I love it. I love the emphasis on, hey, let's get in the low red zone. Let's punch it in. That's got to be the key for Ohio State. I really like that a lot. Yeah, for me, it is kind of continuing to grow that pass game. How can they continue to evolve in that pass game? How can that passing attack be one that, hey, is more vertically stretched down the field? And let's see Julian. I think he's proven to this point that he can do it and he can control your offense. He's going to protect the football. He better have a boatload of confidence right now because he's playing awesome. And I want to see him kind of continue to take off and do so stretching the ball down the field and proving that he can do it. Because like you said, we're getting into the second half of the year here in a couple weeks, and you're going to see some more formidable competition. And then, we're talking playoffs. And when you're in the playoffs, you better have everything cooking and being able to execute at all levels of the field. So definitely some exciting stuff to watch for us. Obviously, we'll have our eyes on Bo Jackson, see how he does. Eyes on the offensive line. Phillip Daniels playing against his former teammates, which would be pretty cool for him. And so much, to go and to come from that game on Saturday night. So it'll be a ton of fun there. But throughout the rest of the week here on our page, we got our typical week for you. We'll be back with our defensive preview coming for you maybe tomorrow, potentially on Thursday. Not sure exactly when we'll get it out to you. I know we're balancing schedules here on our side of things. So keep your eyes peeled for that show. Then Friday, we'll have our games to watch coming to you early on Friday evening. And then Saturday, we'll be back on site. So obviously we weren't out in Washington that last Saturday, but we'll be back in the Horseshoe with our typical pregame. We'll have a pregame show. We had a 7 p.m. kick, so we may get it out a little bit earlier. And then we'll have all of our typical post-game stuff from the field and from the press conferences. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Make sure you're checking us out over at Buckeye Roundtable. I don't have the QR codes. It was pointed out to me that the QR code was broken, so I have to fix it still. So I got to put some time into that tonight. But if you need to get there, go right below me, roundtable.io/sports/NCAA/Ohio State. It's a mouthful there, but get over there. Follow Kevin, follow me, follow the rest of our group. Tons of good content over on that side of things. Kevin, we're getting out of here on this. What was your favorite thing about Charleston outside of the Lumineers? I'm putting you on the spot.
The food scene's top tier.
What was the best thing you ate?
Brunch at Hall's Chop House, a bacon-wrapped 8-ounce filet with pepper jack, grits, and a French toast with a maple marmalade, a coffee. I don't know. It was fantastic. But it was really good. That I couldn't recommend it more. Hall's Chop House, right in the center of Charleston. It was fantastic.
Halls, hit us up. We'll put your logo right on the screen here. We'll get you.
Fried eggs there. It had a steak sauce.
How many times did you go to Halls every morning?
It was all one plate. And then it was a bacon wrapped steak with steak sauce on top and 3 fried eggs and then these pepper jack grits. And it was one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. It was so good.
I love it. That is awesome. All right, we're gonna get out of here on this. Make sure you're following along. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And there's so much more content coming your way this week. So for my partner Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin signing off for this episode on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel.